Hey everyone, Jerome Powell will be speaking at this event in Sweden. It is supposed to, this stream just began about a minute ago, and this is just an individual moderator here giving introductions. And we're not exactly sure what order the individuals will be speaking in. You've kind of got the list here of Claudia, Mervyn, Jerome Powell, and Ken Rogoth. So I'm not sure if that's the order, but we'll find out. Obviously, everybody is pretty curious to see what Jerome Powell has to say. So we'll listen in and see if we've got any kind of indications on a schedule here.
Inflationary episodes and recurring financial crisis and how to grapple with those issues. And central bank independence and the mandates are institutions that are directed at meeting those challenges. So as Beatrice reminded us in this morning, in the 1990s, there was a wave of institutional reforms in high-income economies when they adopted inflation targeting and were backed up by more legal legislated independence. So this concerns the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, Bank of Canada.
Something while this individual's sort of doing his intro here, something I was thinking about was how interesting that we've had almost 40 years of a deflationary trend and concerns that, oh no, what if no amount of money printing will ever be able to cause inflation? Well, good news. We're still able to cause inflation by printing money. And the reason that became such a concern is because of, you look at countries like Japan that print money and they don't cause inflation. That's incredible.
How much did these concerns reflect specific challenges of the 70s and 80s or more germane issues?
All right, Powell.
Then we saw a downturn of inflation, and to many that looked like a major success, tolerable losses of output and employment. So the main policy challenges in the next few decades were instead to be about financial crises, how to recuperate from the great financial crisis, and how to stave off new ones, not least at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we got to see new financial regulation, QE, unconventional central bank intervention, and policy rates at record lows for a long time. So the second question for the panel then is, which new concerns were raised by the events and challenges in the 2000s and the 2010s in handling financial crisis and deflationary pressures? And in particular, do these challenges suggest new trade-offs, for example, between monetary and fiscal policy or between present macroeconomic outcomes and future financial stability? If we look at today, superficially, the situation looks like a 70s, 80s redux with major supply shocks and emerging inflation inertia. So this brings us, I guess, to the most important and the bottom line question. Given the concerns behind the 1990s reform and the challenges in the next few decades, should we rethink central bank independence and central bank mandates? That is, are there good ideas or even concrete proposals for new reforms of central banking rules? Okay, so finally, the plan for the session. So we'll spend the next 20 minutes on initial remarks by each panelist.
Okay.
Then we'll have a discussion within the panel around these initial remarks for maybe another 15 minutes. And after that, we'll turn to a round of Q&A involving the audience. So think about questions, and please think about succinct questions rather than statements beforehand, and try to relate them to the three major questions that I outlined. And in the last 5 minutes, panelists will be able to make some final remarks. Okay, so now let's go to the initial remarks, at most 5 minutes for each of you. I'm sure these remarks will span many aspects of the broad panel theme, but by agreement, each panelist will put more emphasis on one of the three main questions that I outlined. So Ken and Mervyn will touch on question number 1, Claudia on question number 2, and Jay on question 3. So without further ado, please, Ken Rogoff.
Well, first of all, thank you very much to the organizers, to the Riksbank, for inviting me to speak. I think you've heard so many remarks about Stefan. I can just...
I'm actually going to pull down here for a second. It looks like the Federal Reserve just released Jerome Powell's speech. They usually do that. They post a screenshot of what he's going to say on their website. Well, not a screenshot. It's just basically whatever he's going to say is on their website. So let's just go ahead and take a peek at that really quick. So I have it as a PDF. So we'll go ahead and grab that. I'm not sure many of us care, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments about the other individual speakers. I think we're all here for Jay Powell. So this is Jay Powell's speech. So I will address 3 main points. First, Fed monetary policy independence is important and broadly supported institutional arrangement that has served the American public well. Second, the Fed, okay, well, I mean, that's kind of boring. Second, the Fed must continuously earn independence by using our tools to achieve our assigned goals of max employment, price stability, price transparency to facilitate the understanding and effective oversight by the public and their elected representatives of Congress. So far, this kind of just sounds like how central banks fit into the world, not so much of an economic discussion. Third, we should stick to our knitting and not wander off to pursue perceived social benefits that are not tightly linked to our statutory goals. Okay, this is actually really interesting because these social benefits, the Fed has come under a lot of pressure for pushing ESG benefits, like environmental concerns or whatever. Basically, they've been getting wrapped up in political issues before 2020 and before the pandemic. The first point for the case of monetary policy independence lies in the benefits of insulating monetary policy decisions to help from short-term political considerations. Again, central bank independence here. Price stability is the bedrock of a healthy economy, provides the public with immeasurable benefits over time. But restoring price stability when inflation is high can require some measures that are not popular in the short term. Yeah, no kidding. As we raise interest rates to slow the economy. The direct absence of political control over our decisions allows us to take those necessary measures without considering short-term political factors. I believe these benefits of independent monetary policy in the U.S. context are well understood and broadly accepted. Okay, some footnotes there in research. In a well-functioning democracy, important public policy decisions should be made in almost all cases by the elected branch of government. Grants of independence to agencies should be exceedingly rare, explicit, tightly circumscribed, and limited to those issues that clearly warrant protection from short-term political consideration. A lot of this so far just about independence from political pressures. Like, Donald Trump, you're fired if you don't do this. That was pretty blunt. When independence comes with independence comes the responsibility to provide transparency that enables effective oversight by Congress, which in turn supports the Fed's democratic legitimacy. At the Fed, we treat this as an active, not passive responsibility. And over the past several decades, we have steadily broadened our efforts to provide meaningful transparency about the basis for this, focused on achieving statutory mandate and transparency. Then we talk about resisting the temptation on social issues, not that they aren't important, but in the area of banking regulation, the Fed has a degree of independence. Independence here helps ensure the public can be confident of our supervisory decisions, not influenced by political decisions, including banking supervision to the perceived risks associated with climate change. See, there it is. Is appropriate rise. Some analysts ask whether it's appropriate to include that. Addressing climate change seems likely to require policies that would have significant distributional and other effects on companies, industries, and nations. Decisions about policies to directly address climate change should be made by the elected branches of government. So he's really using this as an opportunity to say, hey, don't push your climate agenda on me. We are not and will not be a climate policy maker. Wow, that's it. Okay, well, so Jerome Powell's speech today, I hate to say it, but it's kind of boring. It is basically him saying, hey, we want to be an independent organization, and we don't want to get into your politics, especially political debates regarding climate change. No actual, what would you say, economic outlook here. No commentary on really anything. Which what's really actually interesting about that is it looks like when that speech came out, the market actually started going up. That's fascinating. Look at this. So I think a lot of folks, like the market was it was negative this morning, right? The market was down this morning, and as soon as the market realized that Jerome Powell wasn't here to actually hurt anyone, when the speech came out at about 6:03-ish, right around here, markets just started moving up. And so while the NASDAQ isn't quite positive, it's certainly up from where it was leading into this meeting. 268 was where we were kind of leading into the meeting. Yeah, you've got Tesla over here. Tesla really seems to like that Jerome Powell had nothing to say today. And even Open Doors up 4%. Let's take a peek over here, scroll around. Let's see here. There we go. Pre-market. So, yeah, okay. I mean, this is not, I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond up 8%, 9% again. It's nonsense, but okay. Arcimoto's down 3. Google's down 2% at Google. Wow, goodness gracious. Yeah, you know, I found Bloomberg had some pieces yesterday railing on advertising, which I think is a little interesting. I wonder if Trade Desk is getting hit by that as well. Open Door up 4%. But it does seem like, again, a lot of this movement right after the Jerome Powell speech. That's not it. Right after the Jerome Powell speech was published. It's not loading. Trade Desk. Anyway. All right. So I don't know that that there's really anything to cover on Powell other than basically suggesting that his speech was boring. So, oh, did Nick just say something in the Wall Street Journal? We'll go look at that. Sure, happy to do that. So that was nothing. All right, okay. That computer has lost its connection. Give me a second. Let me just check here. All right, let's see what Nikki T had to say. Nick. Yeah, we get some crazy storms out here in California. All right. Slowing everything down. Okay, here we go. Ken Rogoff on central bank independence. Turkey has changed central bankers the way Henry VIII changes wives. And you can see the results here. And then shows basically how bad inflation is. Yeah, I mean, Turkey just had like a 14% drop in inflation all the way down to like a beautiful 64%. So that's a good one. Anyway, yeah, this is a little bit of a nothing burger. So thank you so much for being here. And I'll go back to making some videos. Thanks for being here. Sorry, Jerome Powell was boring today. And we'll see you in the next one.